Yo, what's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Good morning. Bright and sunny here in South Carolina. Good morning. So really excited about that. Always something positive to look forward to when you have a nice, sunny, bright day. All right. So what we're going to do here is make sure that we're broadcasting. Yesterday, we had a little bit of a glitch. We had to reboot. And today, we're going to see if we're going to kick this thing off on the right foot. So let's see here. When you do see the feed, do me a favor and pop in the comments there. Let me know that you're there. Heck, let me know what you're drinking today. Let me know what the beverage of choice is. Maybe let me know where you're tuning in from. I know some of you, whenever I see you guys coming in that are the regulars, I kind of know where you're at. So I know Justin comes in from Australia, usually Derek from Atlanta. And I love it how they always put that in there for me. Yeah, there's Derek. Hey, what's up, man? Atlanta in the house. What's up? Salam is in the house, of course. Karen, what's up, Karen? Good morning. Overcast here. Overcast is okay as long as it's not raining throughout the day. I love it if it rains at night. Like if it rains at night, gets the grass nice and watered, and then we can enjoy the day. What's up, Octavio? Octavio's episode's getting ready to publish on Monday. So really excited about that. That'll be a good one. I can't wait for people to see the entry or his really cool entrance into the podcast. Derek says coffee this morning. Good. Cheers. Boom. I just actually literally came in from the pool, just sitting out there relaxing with my coffee. Mike, what's up? Everything looks good. Switched from coffee to green tea, but it's been rough. Haha, Central California. Yeah, Mike, I also seen some of those, I think it was bagels or donuts or something, looked really good. You posted in BCA. I'm going to have to give them a try. I do like those pastries. I just don't like what they do to me. But I know you have a healthier version. So I just want to check real quick here too, guys. Make sure that we're broadcasting because yesterday we had a little bit of a glitch. So let me just go on over here to the main page and we'll see if we're in fact live. Okay, cool. Looks like we finally are. It's weird how it posts it. It posts it twice. Huh, weird. But anyway, doesn't really matter. What's up, Tamara? Good morning. Brand Rockers from Canada. Awesome. I love that. Awesome. Okay, cool. So today we are going to be talking about Airbnb and website creation. How do they even compare? Why are we even talking about Airbnb and online website real estate? Why are we even talking about this? Well, at number one, yesterday or the day before, one or two of you asked if we could talk about the Airbnb stuff because some of you know that I'm dabbling in the Airbnb space. I say dabbling. I've got a house on the lake, so I kind of jumped in feet first, really aggressively last year. It was probably around a 5 or a 6 month remodel. So it was quite an adventure, but it's definitely working out. But why would we even want to talk about that? I don't want to steer you guys in the direction of doing Airbnb right now, unless you are set up for that. And if you do not have to do anything that would take away your focus. Here was my criteria when I decided to do the Airbnb was I did not want to have to go there and do work on the house. I did not want to rent the house. I did not want to clean the house. I did not want to do the Airbnb Superhost thing. I didn't want to do any of that. And I can share with you guys the story on how I even stumbled into this market and how I found the guy and his company that basically runs the entire thing. So I literally, since I handed the keys over after we were done with the remodel, I don't think that I've had to go there and do anything ever. Now, when I went there to just hang out and spend a few days there after Brand Accelerator Live, we went there, spent about a week there. Yes, I seen a few things that needed a little bit of attention after we've had guests in there. Simple things like the doors might have had a couple of nicks out of the paint, touch them up, a couple spots. A couple of the deck boards outside needed to be tightened up, had to run a few screws in them. Nothing major. I'm talking about like every single day you got every single week you have a new guest in there. It's a job. Now, it's really been awesome, but in order to do another one, it's going to take a lot of capital. Just to kind of throw a number out there for you guys, I'm going to need about another $250,000 to $350,000 to actually get into another home. Now I'd like to try to do it for 200, but that means that the house is going to be less caliper, and I'm not going to be attracting the right clients. And the guy that I'm using for his management services, he doesn't take anything other than a luxury property on the lake. Kind of goes back to niching down. He only services that market. That is it. Okay. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about here today. But how do we bridge this over to website stuff, right? Well, when you're building a website, I feel like you're building a piece of real estate. When you're building that piece of real estate, the cool thing about a website is you could put, let's just say that you didn't want to write any of the content yourself. You didn't want to create any of the resources. You didn't want to create the digital products. You didn't want to do any of that stuff. And you said, you know what? I'm going to drop over the next 6 months, 8 months, I'm going to drop $10,000 or $15,000 into building out this thing, right? That's kind of been my mindset. I'll spend $10,000 or $15,000 over the course of a year building this thing out in hopes that I can get it to $1,000 per month in net profit. Okay. So think about this. Doing an Airbnb, okay, with how I'm doing it, I need a lot of money, right? It's kind of like buying a franchise. I need a lot of money to put into the property. Now, can I refi the property and pull the money back out and then have the property pay back the refi? Yes, we can do all that stuff. That's later, but you still got to have the money and the liquid capital to do that. Plus, you got to have enough credit and enough ways to support doing a jumbo loan. Because now you're not talking about a $200,000 property. You're talking about an $800,000 property to start. And then you're going to put 300 grand into it. You're talking $1.1 million, right? So it's a whole nother ballgame, right? But on a web property, if I can get that thing to $1,000 a month and I can build out that system, like that would be pretty cool, right? So that's what I'm doing, right? So in my portfolio of different properties, I have an Airbnb right now. I want to add another one next year, by the way. My idea is to get ready and prepared for the off season to buy another one, probably in like November, December, or January. And then I'll have 2 or 3 months to remodel, and then it'll be ready to rent out in May, June, right? And that's when that's when it really starts to kick off. So that's the goal. I don't know if it's going to happen. But that's the goal. Okay. But while I'm kind of waiting on that, and I got the one property running and it's kind of running itself now because I have the management company doing it, I want to build websites, right? So inside of Brand Creators Academy, I'm building 2 of them public. Well, one of them's totally public. The other one is kind of behind the scenes, but yet I'm sharing a lot of what's happening. The one is totally open and public, and a lot of room to grow. But the idea is to get those to $1,000 a month within 12 months. We're at about the 8-9 month mark, and we're at about, I would say on the one, we're about $250 to $350 a month. And then we're probably, I would say in the next 3 months, probably able to get it to the $800 to $1,000. That's the goal. So now that we got traffic, we're going to start to try to take that traffic and turn it into revenue. And then that property would have taken a year to get to that place to where it's now netting $1,000 per month. The cool thing is with this is there's no limit. Now, if I'm making 1,000, now I can say, how can I leverage the traffic and get it to 2,000 or get it to 3,000? Now, if you think about a piece of real estate right now, an Airbnb, it's going to take a long time to get it to be $1,000 net profit. I know a lot of times people just want to cash positive of like $300 a month after all expenses. And their whole vision is to have the house be paid down and in 10 years, maybe sell it and make 100 grand, right? That's just too long for me. Like, I don't want to wait that long. So the reason why I'm doing the Airbnb and why I'm okay with putting more money into one property versus doing 10, number one, it's one property I got to manage. Also, it's a short-term rental. Airbnb is short-term rental. I don't have long-term tenants, and we can charge more. And so on that property in season, okay, this is our second summer. So last year, I think we opened it up end of June. End of June is when we started. And we had about, I don't know, what is that, 7-8 months. And then we started the new year in January up until now. And now this whole summer is just about rented out. I think there's like 1 week left in August, maybe 5 days. September's already got 2 weeks booked. There's already some in, let's see, December towards Christmas. There's already, and then leading into the new year. So that's already booked. But because I kind of piggybacked off of this other guy who's doing all the management for me, he's doing all the Facebook ads, he's doing all that stuff for me. I'm paying him a percentage of when I rent it. Okay. But just to give you an idea, if I was to take that same house and just buy it, fix it up, put it on the market, rent it for a month-to-month basis, I'd probably be able to get realistically maybe $5 to $7 grand a month. Okay. To be on the lake on a property that's $1 million plus, great views, got its own dock, its own, boat launch, all that stuff. You probably get $5 to $7 grand. Okay. The difference with an Airbnb is you can charge more per night, right? So that property in peak season, we're able to get anywhere from $900 a night to about $1,400 a night. So now we're talking $30K a month. And let's say that the expenses are $5 grand, you can make $25K, right? Now that's not every single month. So that's where you would say, okay, the months that I can rent it out is going to pay for the months that it can't be rented out. I still get to go there and enjoy it myself as well when it's not being rented out. But for the most part, even on the off season, we're able to at least generate enough to pay the bills. And then any money that we do make in the peak season, I can take that. And guess what I get to do with that? I get to throw it over here into a little cash fund that's going to feed the next the next property. So that's my goal. Take the money that I'm making from this season, 4 months, and try to take that to where if I can net 20 grand, I can take that 20 grand, throw it over here, make 80 or 100 grand. I can take that and throw it into my next property, right? So again, that's the Airbnb side, totally different, but pretty similar that if you were to take and create a property, right? Build a property and know that it can get traffic, know that you can see the vision of where it can make $1,000 per month or more, right? By doing this validation process, right? And then from there, we can say, okay, we now have learned how to do that. Now let's take that same model, now that we got a system in place, and let's take our construction crew, right? Let's bring them over and let's say, build another house, right? Build another piece of property that can generate $1,000 per month minimum, right? So that's how I look at it. That's my methodology as far as how I look at the two. They're very similar. The other thing I look at is the Airbnb. Think about this for a second. It's like niching down, right? We always talk about niching down. How do you niche down? How do you niche down in the real estate and then to the Airbnb? Well, we got rental, right? We got long-term rental. Then we have Airbnb now, short-term rental, right? So we've niched down a little bit further. Then we have short-term rental on the lake, okay? And then we go from short-term rental on the lake, luxury home, okay? So we've niched it way down, and now I'm only servicing that market. So anybody that comes in, they're like, I want to rent a tiny home on the lake. There are them, by the way, too. I've got a guy that I know. He's got an old RV park that they converted over to all tiny homes. He's got about 70 tiny homes, and he charges about $200 a night in season, right? So he's got 70 of these things. They're renting out, but he's got 70 people to manage all the time. I don't like that model. One property, a lot more money, less to maintain, right? And I got an outfit that's willing to do all that for me. So anyway, guys, any quick questions on this? I know I'm doing this for you because you guys wanted to know more about the Airbnb, but I did want to make sure that I really outlined and kind of like went through my thought process and how I even look at these two to be very similar. All right. So let me see what you guys got for me in the comments. Okay. Here we go. Justin's in the house. What's up, Justin? Glad to have you. Mark, what's up? Good morning to you. Happy Saturday. Kay, what's up? Let's see here. Website provide the lowest risk and provides the best ROI. This is true. This is true. But see, people don't realize that when you're building up, everyone wants to do everything for free. Okay. They're like, I want to build traffic for free. I want to, I don't want to spend money on ads. I don't want to add any money into the business. I don't want to buy an autoresponder because it's going to cost me $30 a month and I'm not making any money yet, right? You can't start a business really. Like if you went in a brick and mortar, you can't start it for nothing. You're going to have to pay for advertising. You're going to have to pay for a grand opening, right? So why do we treat it differently? Just because you can go start a website for free, right? Why not look at it the same way? Why not? If you're launching a physical product, you know in your mind, you're prepared to drop $2,000 to $5,000 on your first product. Why wouldn't you be okay with spending $2,000 to $5,000 on investing in content, investing in a digital product, investing in, maybe driving ads over to an email list to build that asset? Why wouldn't you do that? Right? To me, it's the same. It's the same mindset. It's going to be a slower road if you try to do every single thing yourself. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't do any of it yourself because you can save money and you will learn that process a little bit better. But man, when you can offload some of that stuff and start bringing people in to help you, it makes it so much easier. And then you can scale that, right? You can build it without you having to actually build it, right? So that's why I'm a big fan of doing that. But I agree with you, Justin. I was focused on real estate in the past. Sounds interesting. Yeah, but Derek, here's the deal, right? Real estate is a long-term investment most of the time. Okay. So my idea is to do these, but it's going to take me probably 10 years to get to 5 properties, right? Because I'm thinking about every year and a half, maybe 2 years, do another property. And at the end of 10 years, I could have 5 properties that are just cranking along. And also in the meantime, the value of the homes are going up because they're on the lake and it's a good area, right? But if all I was doing this for the reward of the property just being paid for and going up, it's just a long-term thing for me. I like to let that happen, but then also pull some cash back in, right? And have it feed the next property. But if you're doing real estate, like, oh, I want to get a multi-unit, maybe an 8-unit place, I've got to borrow $1 million and then it's just going to pay for itself for the next 10 years. And I don't get to pull any cash flow back into the business. It's just not as sexy for me. So anyway, that's just me. And again, Derek, I would not stray off of the path that you're on right now because the path that you're on to build a brand is probably going to be easier and quicker for you to do right now if you change the mindset to think, I got to just build this thing and I got to just focus on it, right? How do you automate everything so you don't do all the repairs and maintenance? I have a company. And so a quick little story on how I met this guy, all right? I basically was looking for a property. I had our inner circle. It was an inner circle, high level. People paid $25,000 to be part of this inner circle. Okay. And I did it for 1 year. I did it for myself as a test. And I did it for, people that wanted more direct access to me, but I committed to a year, $25,000. We had 10 people in. And so basically I did that a year and a half ago, I think was when we started it, and it wrapped up in September. I'm not doing it again right now. May do something in the future. But right now I actually like doing the lake house retreats. Now that's another thing, how I was able to make sense of this in my own head on how I could justify doing this. All right. So basically, I was looking for a property to host my inner circle meeting. Okay. And so I started looking, here in, actually North Carolina, which is near me. I'm not far from Charlotte. I'm in South Carolina, but I'm really close to North Carolina. My daughter played volleyball in North Carolina. So basically, I started looking at properties and I found a few that I wanted to rent out, and they were going to cost me about $4,000 to $5,000 for like 5 days. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's a nice property. It's on the lake. And I'm like, man, that's a good gig. Like people are renting out a house for $1,000 a night. Man, that's awesome. Maybe I should look into that. Number one, so that way that I don't have to rent one every time. I could do some workshops at the lake house, invite people there, charge a premium for it. Plus I could do the Airbnb thing. So I started looking at properties. So then I started looking at the guy that I was going to rent from, and I started looking at his system. I started looking at his process. I started looking at the areas that he was buying houses in and fixing them up to make them these luxury properties. So see what I'm doing? It's kind of like you're on Amazon looking for hot products. I'm looking for what has already been proven. What are the areas that I know that he's already vetted out, right? So I started doing all that. So then my wife started calling realtors and called this one realtor about a property and found out that he's also a real estate agent. And one of his agents was not he's an agency. One of his agents said, "Oh, you know, that guy that you're looking at the property, he's the one that also does the Airbnb stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, wow." And my wife goes, "Do you mind if my husband talks to him?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So I talked to him. Really cool guy, Australian, by the way. He came over here like 6 or 7 years ago. He had a really well-known real estate agency there, but just wanted to pick up and leave, moved his family over here to the US in an RV, and then decided where he was going to set up shop. And he picked here. And that was his whole idea, was to take a house, turn it into an Airbnb, luxury Airbnb, and then start building that. But then he started to build a management company. So he started telling me all the ins and the outs. He gave me all of these pro formas and everything of like what I could predict and how much I would make and all of that stuff. So I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. He had all of his cleaners in place. He had all of his maintenance people in place. He had everything in place. And he was like, all we need is just a percentage. He goes, so my blue sky is to really have you be successful. So you keep giving me inventory. So I don't have to go buy a house and rent it. I can just rent yours and make a percentage. So that's all we did. So right now, literally, I do not have to do anything. Zero. Okay. Now, I pay over 20% to that management company, but do I really care? No, because at the end of the day, I'm still making good money on the property because we're charging such premium prices. He's even got dynamic pricing built into his site that it's like a hotel. If we're starting to get closer to the season, the prices automatically fluctuate. If we don't have anybody booked and it's a week out, those prices will start to dip to make it more affordable and attract people that just want to come in and want to rent a house. So he's got all that built in. Like I said, if I go on my property on Facebook, or even not even on Facebook, on the website, I get retargeted on Facebook with an ad from him that I didn't pay for, right? So all of that is done by that company. So that's what makes it work for me. And my wife and I were talking at one point. We're like, maybe we should have our own management company. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that unless I absolutely had to. There's a lot of moving parts, right? A lot of moving parts. He's getting the phone calls, not me, right? And I only get a phone call is if something broke, or I had a couple of Adirondack chairs there that someone must have sat on the arm and it snapped. So I got to replace those two. I went up, grabbed them, brought them back here. I actually repaired them and put them out by my pool because they weren't that bad. They just needed to be fixed. But I didn't want to put them back there because they were damaged. You can't really tell. It's kind of like underneath. But you got to do that stuff. But that's what makes it work for me. But the barrier to entry is pretty high, right? You need to have some capital in order to get in the game, or you got to have 3 people come in and then you split the profits. But this is more of a long-term and a short-term for me, but it also helps me think website, real estate, property, real estate. I look at it all the same. It's just, how do we diversify, right? How do we diversify revenue streams, and how do we set ourselves up for having not just being dependent on 1 or 2 revenue channels, right? So anyway, that's how it all happened. Let's see here. Hey, what's up, Karen? Good morning. Happy Saturday. Good call the other day, Karen. Good call we had. Derek, how do you make this not a debt and more of an income producing to pay for itself in so many years and live off the profits? See, well, here's how I look at this. Okay, Derek, and I'm glad you asked that question. So if the property breaks even at the end of the month, then I'm good, right? Nothing came out of my pocket. So I don't care if it takes 30 years to pay that off. Why? Because the tenants are paying for it, right? So it's not costing me a dime. The property value is going up. I'm building equity. I don't care. I will probably always have a mortgage on that home. Any financial advisor will tell you, you should always have a mortgage on your home. Here's the other thing that you can do. And again, I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not a legal advisor, any of that stuff, but you can literally pull your equity out 4 years, 5 years from now, and it's technically not taxable because it's a loan, right? So then pull the money out and let your tenants pay off your loan, right? And then if you want to sell, then you can just sell the property, pay off the loan, and then you're clear. My goal is not to pay off the properties and have them clear and free. If anything, have that on there, but have that money be in my account, right? And then let them pay the mortgages off. That's how I look at it. How how do you make sure people don't come in and tear up your property? Well, let me tell you something. When you get people that are paying $1,400 a night, you're going to find less of those people. And the other thing is there's insurance. We have insurance just like anything else. I mean, we've had a solid summer last year, the off season, and then this summer so far. And I went there about a month ago. My wife and I and the kids went up there for about 3 days. And I'm always like, oh, I don't know if I go in, I'm going to see stuff. It's going to make me upset. And we went in there and there's just some normal, like little, like maybe a few marks on the wall, something like that. But everything looked great, right? So I was pleased. But I think if you have that type of clientele, you have less of that, right? You have less of that. What are the off-season months so far? It pretty much will be, let's see here. I would say it starts in November, but then it picks up for just those 2 weeks in December around Christmas and New Year's, right? So you get a little bit of a peak there, a back. So maybe like 3 weeks. And then I would say February, March, some of April, and then May it kicks off again. So really only about 4, maybe 5 months. After that, it starts to really do okay. And for me, I only need like 1 week to pay for the property, right? So I look at it like, how do I just get 1 week rented? And if he's not able to do it, can I do it? I haven't had to, but that's how I look at that. Why did you invest in a particular city? Well, that's a good question. And here's the deal. Here's what a lot of people don't know. You can't do Airbnb in any city. Some places you can't do Airbnb. They don't let you. Or certain places have associations. Can't do it. So this guy has vetted all that out for me. I don't got to worry about it, right? So you got to be careful there. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to buy that house over there and turn it into an Airbnb. You can't do that. You don't know if Airbnb is okay in your area or if there's discussions that they're going to get rid of it and you can't do it because people are voting against it because there's wild parties going on or something. So that's another thing to be careful of. Let's see here. Okay, Derek says, that sounds interesting. Taking the investments to get more assets and the equity in the assets can be used to purchase other properties. Exactly. How do you get good tenants and vet them so you can make them accountable to not damage your property? Again, that's part of the management company. They're going to do that for us, but also just keep in mind, we're not renting a shack on the lake, right? We're renting an Airbnb that's a luxury property that costs a good amount of money. So certain clientele. Why did you invest in the real estate as opposed to stock? Oh, wow. I just think that investing in real estate, to me, in my opinion, is way better. It's more I see more control in it. And it's also, you can literally see it, versus stock is like all over the place. So to me, real estate is the number. If I was going to invest in any other stocks, it would be a real estate stock. A REIT, as they call that. Airbnb is a website they rent through. They don't rent from you directly. Well, not just Airbnb. That's the thing. My guy that I'm using, he actually outranks Airbnb. He's got a website that he put probably $50,000 to $75,000 into for SEO to outrank Airbnb for our area. So yes, we get some bookings from Airbnb because you're going to naturally list it there. You're also going to do it for VRBO, the other one, right? And any other ones. But then also people are going to find you by coming over to his website, right? And then the retargeting. And then the other thing, he's building an email list. He's getting reviews. All of that stuff he's handling. So it's pretty sweet. Justin, thank you, man. Sip time. Thank you for that. I almost got cold on me. True. It takes some money to make money. Is an investment. Yes, it is. Like motels.com, but for vacation rentals. Derek, that is a good subject to find others to do the work for you. Yeah, in anything you do, right? If you're scraping to get by, then you got to do a lot of the work yourself, right? Like my first house I built years ago. I was 24, I think, when I built my first house. And I did everything just about myself. I hired a few things out, the foundation. I had a poured foundation done. So I hired a contractor to do that. I hired sheetrockers because sheetrocking and insulation and finishing off the sheetrock, I had such a great deal from this one company. I'm like, why would I do it myself? It was almost going to cost me the same for materials. So I had that done. And then everything else I did myself. I had a few friends that were in other trades that I traded my time for. So I had an electrician friend. I helped him pull wire, but then I sided his house. heating and cooling, same thing. So I did a lot of trade and bartering back and forth. But I did a lot in my own, myself, because I had to. I didn't have money to pay. What about tax for Airbnb? Well, it's just like income. I mean, any money that you make on it, you're going to have to pay for, but you also get deductions because it's a rental property. You can leave a legacy for your children and leave off the income. Yeah, you can. But my other thing is I don't want like this. Okay, so the podcast, right? Or brand creators or anything else that I do that's my face on it. If I go away, it goes away, right? So I always want things in place so that way if something happened to me, God forbid, that my family would be taken care of, right? Or these properties can stay in the family, right? So you're right. I want things that are not dependent on me. That's why the website that we're building inside of Brand Creators Academy, it's not tied to me at all, right? That thing can go on. I can sell the thing. I could just keep it. My kids can just manage it and just keep the rental income. So that's how I look at that. Yes, gotta focus. Yeah, Derek, you gotta focus, man. I didn't do Airbnb up until last year, and the only reason why I did it was because I was going to rent a house, and it brought me the opportunity, and then I had to address if it was something I wanted to do. So my wife and I said, let's give it a shot, and that's what we did. But I didn't think about it 3 years ago because other people were doing it. It just happened. Are you able to check online whether it's rented or not? Yeah, I can look every day. I have a portal that I can log into, and I can actually book my own time slots. I can, I can go ahead and see what type of maintenance things. I can go ahead and see my profit and loss. I can see it all. It's all in a members portal that he gives us as people that are giving him rental properties to rent. It's his inventory. He's got 5 of his own properties, and now he's doing it for everyone else. So it's really smart. Let's see, Tristan. I've had an Airbnb for years and I have never paid one dime of mortgage out of my pocket. I am basically getting a high premium house for free because our tenants are paying our mortgage. Yeah, that's the sweetest deal, right? I told my son that I said really a smart thing for young people to do is buy a duplex, live on the one side, and let the tenants pay the mortgage. And then that way it's being paid for. Then when you get enough money saved up, you move out, rent the other side. Now you got a full rental property with two separate streams coming in. Now you're in net positive, and then you buy a house, right? Or maybe you do it again. Maybe you buy a fourplex then, right? So that'd be a cool thing to do too. Derek, real estate is tangible. I'm having the idea of touching my assets, or I like having the idea of touching my assets. Yeah, I mean, a website you can touch though, right? I mean, yeah, you can't physically go in there and like pick it up, but it's yours. You can touch it. You can touch an email list. You can touch all that stuff, right? So yeah. Justin, when you live in it, do you have to pay the management team a fee? Yeah, I just pay the cleaners. So the cleaners come in. We could do it ourselves, but to be honest with you, I don't want to. There's these bunk beds. There's a room that has 6 bunk beds. They're really nice too. I mean, they made it all nautical and everything, and they're made out. A lot of the rails and stuff are made out of steel. Like I had a welder come in and build all these with ladders and all kinds of stuff. But there's 6 bunks in there, right? Or there's 6 beds. And it's hard to make those damn things. So when we go there, if we use the bunk beds, I'm like, I don't want to make them. My wife doesn't want to make them. So we let them come in. They clean everything up to their specs, all their cleaning supplies, all that stuff. And we can just basically take our towels, throw them in the laundry room, and we're gone, right? And we don't have to worry about a thing. It's really nice. So yeah, we pay to do that. So it's like you're paying, it probably works out depending on how long you stay. I think I pay like $300. But if I stay there a week, it's $300. If I stay there a day, it's $300. But I'm okay with that. But the thing is I don't really want to stay there right now because, well, losing money if I stay there, right? Because right now it's peak season. I told that to my wife. I said, the only way that we're going to go up there is if it's not rented right now, because you're losing, pretty much probably like $5 to $7 grand a week if you go up there and use it. Now we are going to use it. My daughter's coming up after the baby's born, and we're going to do that for I think first or second week in September. And we already booked it for 4 days. So I'm going to lose a little bit there, but that's okay. It's not peak season, but it is still nice. We'll probably rent a boat and stuff there too. Tristan says, that was my plan. It is a duplex on the beach. I planned on renting out one side and living in the other, but it makes enough that I rent out both sides now and then rent a house off the beach now. Yeah, that's cool. Whereabouts, Tristan, are you on the beach? What beach, I guess, what area? I'm curious. So guys, Anyway, this was kind of a random talk today. I did it. You guys wanted me to talk a little bit more on this. Hopefully it was helpful. Was this helpful, guys? Was this interesting? And again, if you have any other quick questions, I'll answer them, but then I'm going to jump. It is Saturday. It's actually my wife's birthday today. So yeah, it's her birthday. Not much we can do as far as go out and celebrate. So we're going to hang home here. Not quite sure. Maybe we'll sit out by the pool, hang out, but maybe just relax. Yeah, it's her birthday today. So, we'll be spending the day together, but we've been spending a lot of days together because we're quarantined, right? Salama says, thanks. Very interesting. Awesome. Yes. Derek says yes. Okay. But the one thing I do not want this to do is distract you. Right? I always fear in telling you or sharing with you anything that could make you go, oh, maybe I should do an Airbnb. You got to stay the course, right? You got to keep going in that direction and moving forward. So yeah, Derek says, yeah, time to get some cake. Yeah, I think we've got some banana pie pudding, I think it is. Very helpful, Kay. Okay, cool. Say happy birthday to her from us. I will let her know. Yeah, I will definitely let her know. Octavio, hey, happy birthday, Lisa. Great, y'all. Scott, hey, thanks. I'll let her know, Octavio. And yeah, guys, if you guys are tuning in late, Octavio, who's also in BCA, one of our tribe members, who's crushing it with content right now, is actually going to be on the podcast on Monday. So make sure that you go there and you listen. The other thing is, and I haven't mentioned this in a while, if you have been listening to the podcast or have in the past, do me a favor. Go leave me a review over there. I don't generally ask for that, but I don't know. I thought about that the other day. I'm like, I really should ask for some reviews on my iTunes podcast over there or on Stitcher, wherever. Guys, if you could do that for me, that'd be amazing. So yeah, that would be cool. And then the last thing is I probably should mention, I should mention two things. Number one, I printed this out yesterday because I did a video and I'm going to basically share it out on Facebook. If you guys haven't grabbed the brand growth validation checklist yet, you might want to do that. This here is the very first thing that I'm going to do before I dig my new foundation for ground, right? For the property that I'm going to build, right? It's basically validating that you can get traffic and that you can turn that into money. All right. Brand growth validation checklist. And that can be found right here. brandcreators.com/checklist. All right. Make sure that you do. There's 4 or 5 pages in here. You can print it out. You can write in there. I've got spots for you to fill in the blanks with your market. Where is it? Yeah. Like right here. Barely see it, but you get it. I got some lines in there to write on and stuff. But you walk through it. There's also a video there that I'll show you exactly how I'm doing that in a certain market. And then the other thing is, if you're at all interested in joining Brand Creators Academy when we open July 6th, you might want to grab a copy of this thing. Brand Creators, the playbook. This is what we want all of our Brand Creators Academy members to go through first. This is the playbook. This is the roadmap. So brandcreatorsbook.com. This here is the blueprint. This is the playbook, as we call it, for building a brand, building a piece of real estate that will thrive, that could generate $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. It's endless, but you got to go through the process of building your structure. You got to build your home base. You got to get traffic. You got to know how to turn that into money. But before you do any of that, you got to make sure that your market can even do that. So that's why this niche this niche validation checklist is really, really important. So make sure, guys, if you haven't done that, make sure you go through, grab the book. It's going to cost you a cup of coffee, seriously. And actually the checklist is free. So guys, if you haven't grabbed it, make sure that you do. Yeah, Kay says, can't wait for Octavio. Tristan says it's here on the west coast of Florida. Oh, good. I'm sure that's a good spot then. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. All right, guys, that's it. That's going to wrap up this coffee talk. We'll be back here tomorrow, Sunday morning. And I do have a topic that I picked out here. Sunday mindset, reset and get re-energized. So guys, if you want to kick off your Monday, you might want to show up tomorrow, Sunday, and we'll get you energized and we'll get you rebooted and ready for the week ahead. All right, guys. So have an awesome day. Take care. take action, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, guys. Bye.